Maddie the Playtime Fairy. Bickering boats and bubbles. The goblins were still shaking lake water out of their eyes and ears when Rachel and Maddie reached for the bag and pulled open the zip. Rachel looked up and saw a big green hand reaching down towards the bag. She pointed urgently, and Maddie swam into the bag at a lightning speed. Half a second later, she zoomed out with a tiara, which had shrunk to fairy size as soon as she had touched it. As the goblin's hand found the bag, Rachel and Maddie darted back towards the reeds. They flew out of the water, and Rachel's breathing bubble disappeared. She turned to Maddie, her eyes shining. "We did it!" she said happily. "You got your tiara back!" Maddie rested her tiara on top of her long dark plaits and smiled at Rachel. "I was afraid I might have lost it forever," she said. She turned to look at the goblins, who were sloshing their way out of the shallow water. As Maddie and Rachel watched, the spotty one peered into the bag and then glared at the biggest goblin. Then he put his whole head into the bag and finally turned it upside down and shook it. The biggest goblin grabbed the bag and jumped up and down on top of it a few times. Then he stomped away from the lake, followed by the other two goblins. They disappeared among a clump of trees, and Rachel heaved a sigh of relief. "Thank goodness they've gone," she said. The two fairies flitted under the dangling branches of a weeping willow, and Maddie turned Rachel back to human size. Then she hid inside Rachel's shorts pocket, and Rachel ran to watch the end of the boat race. Everyone suddenly seemed much more cheerful. Rachel could hear them all cheering their teammates on. "Now my tiara is back where it belongs. Everyone is being a good sport again," said Maddie with a happy laugh. "Come on, unicorns," called Rachel in her loudest voice. "You can do it!" The boats were still neck and neck, but when Rachel shouted, the sky blue boat seemed to put on an extra burst of speed. Its prow scrunched onto the gravel at the lakeside just 3 seconds earlier than the sunshine yellow boat. "We won!" cheered Kirsty. "Well done, unicorns," said Arthur. Louise and Caroline came towards them, clapping their hands and smiling. "What an exciting finish," said Louise. "The unicorn team just won, so that makes 1 victory each. Sports Day is a draw," added Caroline. The two teams helped each other out of their boats, sharing congratulations and patting each other on the back. Kirsty dashed up to Rachel and gave her a big hug. "Kirsty, we've got the tiara back," Rachel whispered in excitement. "I already guessed that," said Kirsty with a laugh. Halfway through the race, the whole mood changed. Everyone started to be good sports, at last. While the teams were making their way to the patch of grass where Louise had laid out a picnic, Rachel told Kirsty what had happened. Under the cover of the weeping willow, Maddie fluttered out of Rachel's pocket, wearing a beaming smile and her tiara. "Thank you both for everything you've done for me today," she said. "I must go back to Fairyland now and tell the other princess fairies what happened." "Goodbye, Maddie," said Rachel, smiling at the fairy. "We really enjoy helping you to find your tiara," Kirsty added warmly. Maddie waved to them both and then disappeared in a twinkle of silvery sparkles. Rachel and Kirsty ran to join the other children, who were just settling down on a large picnic rug. Louise and Caroline presented each of them with a gold medal for taking part. On one side was an engraved picture of Golden Palace, and on the other side were the words, "Golden Palace Sports Day Champion." "There's only one thing left for you to do," Louise announced. "Tuck in!" As they munched on the delicious picnic, Kirsty smiled at her best friend. "There's only one more day left at the Golden Palace," she said. "And one more tiara to find," Rachel added. "It must belong to Eva, the enchanted ball fairy. I wonder what adventure we'll have with her." The end. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.